Jason speaking now. Yeah, for me today, I'll be sharing a little bit about this print right above me. It's titled Beau Brown Presente. And I guess I'll start off by describing what's actually on it. But it's a portrait of Beau Brown, who is a white, working class, radical, butch dyke lesbian who was a freedom fighter until the day she died. And around her are two acronyms that are kind of like coming out of like a gunshot. So they're like little bangs that read FDP for Fuck the Police and GJB for George Jackson Brigade. And behind her is a wall of fire. And at the bottom reads a quote that says, "We are cozy, cuddly, armed, and dangerous, and we will raise the fucking prisons to the ground." So yeah, that's the print. I was actually thinking about this idea for a while now, but I wasn't sure I was actually going to carve it just because of time constraints and like other things. But the workshop was actually extended for a few months in December due to the pandemic, and Beau Brown passed away, I think sometime in October or November. And so I just felt like the more I thought about it, the synchronicity of all of those things happening at the same time like really pushed me to look into carving a print in honor of her and her memory. And so, yeah, I guess with my process, I started by reading things. I actually came across a lot of zines, a lot of interviews. There's actually a documentary about her called The Gentleman Bank Robber, which I'll get a little bit more into later. But yeah, it was really cool because I learned that she was part of the George Jackson Brigade, which was an armed underground like revolutionary group in the Pacific Northwest around the 70s, and they would basically, participate in a lot of militant actions that supported prisoners, that was against the empire, against imperialism, capitalism, and so many other causes. And she actually became famous for robbing banks and evading capture because she would show up and dress up as a man. And so they were looking for a man, and they would never be able to find her, which is really cool, and that's how she got the nickname Gentleman Bank Robber. But eventually she was caught and was sent to prison for, I think, 8 years. And when she was released, she dedicated basically the rest of her life to different inside-outside prisoner groups, and she supported lots of different organizations dedicated to the fight against the prison industrial complex, and one of which is Critical Resistance. So Beau actually helped organize the first Critical Resistance conference in 1998 in Berkeley, and she remains a close friend and movement partner of the organization, where I have been organizing for the past 3 years. And so in all of this research and all of this work, it was really cool to basically learn about a direct ancestor from my political home and from the abolition movement that I basically came up in. And I just feel like, it's been really special to learn from her and to hear her stories and to learn from her experiences to help inform how I organize and how I show up in spaces. And so, finally, I guess in my process, I was trying to look up, of images of her, right, to carve. There aren't many on the internet, but I did find one that was actually a print of her made by Amari Robinson, who is actually a former QAP artist. And so there was a sort of full circle moment there where I was learning about her through other people who were trying to honor her, and basically other descendants. And so that kind of that discovery made me realize that a lot of ancestors work is not just about the ancestors, but also about finding other people, other descendants who are trying to honor them. And so that collective honoring, right? And so it was a really powerful moment for me. And the last thing I'll share is I reached out to a CR comrade of mine who was actually here at the reception a few weeks ago, and they connected me with Beau Brown's partner, who is still around. And so after all of this over, I saved one print that I made to send to this person, and so you know, with the hope that we can continue to keep Bo Brown's name in spirit alive. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, it's so sticky.